If you're anything like me, you may find yourself at one point not sure what to do, especially when it comes to your investments. And so I wanted to take a few minutes and share my thoughts on some things that you could do so that if you ever find yourself in that situation, you've already established some clear guidance to yourself on what to do when that's happened. Sometimes we need just a mood booster or something to help us kind of get our thinking right about what's taking place. And they have a general adage out that suggests that when you're at your best, you should prepare for your worst. Just knowing that not every day is going to be my best day. So when I'm having kind of a hard day, especially maybe if my investments in particular are kind of having a hard time in the marketplace, like what am I going to fall back onto? What am I going to turn to give me some clarity and guidance to kind of get me through it and to make sure that I'm not making any big decisions on my worst days, right? I think we can all admit that maybe making really big decisions on our worst days is not a good idea, not a good practice. So how do we protect ourselves? How do we work through these things to help us get through those hard days? And, when things can be negative and pessimistic and it's just, you're scared, quite frankly, you find yourself really nervous or anxious, like what can we do to overcome that challenge? And I think when it comes to your investments very specifically, the very best thing you can do and what you really ought to do, in fact, this is what you should do right now if you don't have this, is to draft an investment policy statement. An investment policy statement is really like any sort of policy that we make. It's the ideal. It's drafting how it is that we want things to go, how we want to practice and behave, because when things get tough, sometimes we need that guidance because we're not so sure anymore. And it's really a recognition fundamentally. I think all policy is this way, but specifically an investment policy statement is a recognition that I don't always know what to do and I need help. I need something to ground me, to guide me. And specifically in our investments where it's, maybe things are getting scary or rocky and perhaps we're inclined to want to make a change, the investment policy statement, if well drafted, kind of captures, just like any policy, the possibilities of what may happen. And like it almost as a constitutional document directs and guides you as to what to do with your portfolio, with your investment holdings, if this is what you find yourself in. Gives you some clear guidelines of how to manage the situation, manage the scenario. And so, you could find investment policy if you just Google it. One I would recommend and where I would guide you to take a closer look at would be from the book Your Money and Your Brain by Jason Zweig. He's a Wall Street Journal contributor and has a wonderful book about really all the emotional things that take place when it comes to the management and the guidance of our money. And so, read the book would be one thing. It's just a huge wealth of information, especially when it speaks to how we can be emotionally engaged or charged and perhaps not thinking the most clearly on our action, but we really want to take action. We really want to do something. And again, we're risking ourselves of making really big decisions maybe on our worst days. So Jason Zweig at the end of Your Money and Your Brain provides a sample policy statement. It doesn't have to be long. No policy really needs to be long. It just is a statement. It's a grounding principle that we can turn to and read through. There's a folder design out there. They suggest that sometimes when you're having a hard day, save away, some good moments. Maybe it's you got a nice compliment at work or got a good performance review, or someone a patient wrote you a nice card. Save those away so that when the times are rough, you can open this folder, this happy folder, just kind of remind yourself of the good days and not allow the current day to be too hard, too difficult for you. And an investment policy statement is kind of the same way. Okay. Like, how did we plan from the outset to manage our money? How did we just say this is what we're going to go about things? And ultimately, we're gauging our portfolio not on how it has done recently, which perhaps is doing great. Maybe it's not doing so great. You can get in trouble in both ways. The point of this is not making changes to your portfolio. Only if the investment policy statement actually, tells you that, oh, actually your portfolio is out of bounds according to our statement. Okay, now maybe we should make a change to the portfolio. But otherwise, if the portfolio, after we've read the statement, has fallen within guidelines, if it's within spec, then The response is to let the statement continue to guide and control our actions. And really, then the question here isn't so much changing our investment portfolio. We don't change the investment portfolio just because it's not where we want it to be. We would only change the investment portfolio because the investment policy statement that we've put as like a governing document over it has told us that things aren't quite where they need to be, and thus we should make a change. And so what really intermediates our decisions is the investment policy statement. In fact, I would dare say, like, our approach, if we ever feel the need to make a change, shouldn't ever be we're making a change because, well, I need to, because my investments aren't where I want them to be. We're making a change, one, either because the investment policy statement said so, or two, maybe we've reevaluated the investment policy statement and we've come to realize that statement needs to be upgraded, that policy needs to be upgraded and changed and adjusted. And we take more of a rational, we're going to take a step back approach to what's taking place. So I know, if you're anything like me, sometimes it's tough, the markets, the ups and downs, the future, it's always not certain and it's not clear. And we have our good days and we have our bad days. So let's have something governing and guiding our actions rather than just whatever's happened recently. And let's make sure that we're having some protocol in place to help, govern our emotions. Those are good and important, but we need, to have a way to kind of work them through without them getting the best of us, as we might say. An investment policy statement is a wonderful way to do that. If you do not have that as part of your investment plan, your process, your philosophy for how you're managing money, you need to get one set up today and let that now start to decide how your portfolio is to be managed, and definitely not anything that's going on lately and whether something's gone a meteoric rise or if something's plummeted. These things all kind of have their moment in the sun. They have their ups and downs. Let your these policies decide your actions, not your good days and not your bad days. Anyhow, I hope you found tons of value in that. Please sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the channel and follow us in our social media. We'd love to have your participation. Really appreciate all the good work that you do, and hoping that we can continue to deliver equal value back to you for all that you've done for us. So thank you for listening.